according to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System in 2018. These rising numbers have caused many to question our education system and compare it to those of other countries. It makes us question as a nation, should education be a right or a privilege? As jobs have become more competitive, college degrees have become more of a requirement than an added bonus. I've witnessed the effects of this in my own life, as neither of my parents attended college or received a degree, and they have suffered financially because of this. If we expect our people to make smart decisions for our country and live well-balanced lives, the ability to gain a higher education is something that everyone should have a right to. In order to make education a right, we should start by making community college tuition free. Community college tuition should be free so that everyone has the opportunity to attend a higher education school without having to worry about the financial burden. I've done some research on this topic and put together a few main reasons why this issue is important and what you can do to help. Community colleges were initially started to make education more accessible to everyone, but as prices have increased, this has become a less feasible option for many. The 2014 College Board Annual Survey of Colleges reported that community college tuition costs have increased over 370% since 1980, making the cost of tuition consume approximately 6% of the average family income. This makes education less accessible to many students who are in low-income families, and making this tuition free would open the door for many of them to go to school. Free College, a new and improved state approach to increasing educational attainment, published in 2018 by Laura Perna and her associates, found that individuals who enroll in and complete higher education benefit from higher earnings, better workforce conditions, longer lives, better health, and not to mention society benefits, like higher tax base, reduced reliance on social welfare programs, reduced crime, and increased civic and political engagement. When we make these systems unaffordable for many of our citizens, we weaken the strength of our democracy and deny opportunity to improve their livelihoods based on their current socioeconomic status. This traps many lower-income people in dead-end jobs with no way to escape a vicious cycle. Making this tuition free would allow students to focus on their schoolwork and their goals rather than trying to support themselves throughout their education. This gives many underprivileged students the opportunity to become better qualified for a higher paying job later in life. Sarah Goldrick-Rab found in Education Next 2016 that U.S. employers report a skills gap in the market. They need more employees with technical skills than they can find. Workplaces require more technological ability, better social skills, and a broader grounding in multiple disciplines than ever before. This is exactly what community college offers. Students who may have struggled in high school can also go back to a community college to help improve their grade and then transfer to a four-year institution. Just going to community college can be such a financial struggle that many of these students don't even get the opportunity to transfer to a four-year school. They find themselves scraping by just to manage their time enough to finish one class while working to support themselves. If this tuition were free, they would have more time to improve their grades and save money for wherever they decide to move next. People who oppose free tuition often argue that this will lead to overcrowding and, by extension, the raising of standards to try to minimize too many people getting into a college. Barmak Nassaran wrote in the June 2013 edition of American Federation of Teachers on Campus that if tuition were free, demand would surge, and without revenues to supplement governmental resources, the system would shrink in capacity, becoming much more selective. While this argument is valid, our education system is already suffering from many of these side effects. Due to a lack of funds, many schools have become overcrowded and had to raise their standards because they don't have enough money to hire more teachers or provide financial aid to their students. If we expect our communities to be filled with people who are educated and well prepared to enter the workforce, we need to expand on these opportunities for people to gain a better education. Other people who oppose this argue that with all of the financial aid offered, many low-income students don't have to pay that much already. But Nancy Kendall explained in the Scholar Strategy Network in 2014 that the reality is the U.S. federal government thinly spreads a financial aid pool of about $170 billion a year across many types of students in schools, and in the end leaves many low-income families shelling out as much as 40% of their entire income for one member to attend community college. Many people cannot afford to lose 40% of their family income, and even middle-class students have struggled to afford this type of an education. Now that we know more about this topic, we can agree that there's no way that free community college will become a reality unless we all support this. Obviously, all of you have already chosen to attend a four-year school, but I'm sure that many of you know at least one person in your lives who has attended community college at one point or another. If you ever decide to take classes over the summer or gain further education later in life, this issue may also affect you. California Governor Jerry Brown has recently signed a bill with the hope of making the first year of community college free for all state residents. Barbara Harvey wrote for the Sacramento Bee in 2017 that the new grant would waive the first year of all fees for first-time, full-time students attending a California community college, regardless of need. You can help to support this movement by contacting your local congressman and paying attention to new legislation changes like this one. Community college tuition should be free so that everyone has the opportunity to better themselves through a higher education. Other states have already begun this process. The editors of the Scientific American reported in 2014 that Republican Governor Bill Haslam signed a bill that will make Tennessee's two-year community college and technical schools free to any high school graduate starting in 2015. And recently, New York has proposed a law which allows any student attending a 2- or 4-year public college to be eligible for free tuition if their family makes less than $100,000 a year. Other countries such as Germany, Norway, and Denmark have done this not just for their community colleges, but for their entire higher education system. If this movement can be successful in the United States, the next step may be to make not only community colleges tuition free, but also public and eventually all higher education schools. Only when tuition is free, we can say that education is a right rather than a privilege.